Welcome, everyone. I'm Laura DeFranco, the CEO of Brave Healer Productions, where we have a mission to wake the world up to what is possible, one brave word at a time. And here today to help me with that mission are some of the amazing authors of a new book that we have coming out soon called Sister Armor, Healing in Community. And before I introduce them to you, I just want to say a humongous thank you to Tiffany Borner. Thank you, Tiffany. We would not be here without you. You have brought together a stellar group of human beings to share their vulnerable stories. And really, these are world-changing kinds of stories, you guys. I cannot wait to share this book with everybody. And Tiffany, once again, thank you so much for being our guide in this book, Sister Armor. So ladies, welcome. How are you doing today?
Good, thank you. How are you?
Good. Thanks, Laura.
Amazing.
Happy to be here.
Thank you.
Oh, I'm doing so good. I'm so excited to have you all. I can't wait for everyone to hear more about your chapter today and just sort of hear your voice and feel your energy. I have Ashley Hubler with me. She's a spiritual life coach specializing in soul level healing work to help women step out of struggle and sacrifice, making changes that last for lifetimes. Jillan Brooks combined 25 years experience as a CPA with a variety of healing modalities and coaching tools to form the Spiritual Accountress LLC, where she helps female spiritual entrepreneurs become more financially empowered, tapping into their magic to create a life of abundance. Megan Crouch is a quantum healing practitioner and trainer who works with spiritual warriors and leaders to up-level their businesses and life. And Nicoles Chapter is with me. She is an intuitive healer, teacher, and wellness coach who helps women activate their innate healing potential, reclaim their feminine power, and return to a place of mind, body, and spiritual wholeness. Phew, you guys. I mean, if you can't understand the power that I have in my Zoom room today, I don't know what's going to do it. Actually, I do know what's going to do it. It's them telling you about their amazing stories. So let's see, Ashley, you're going to start this party off. Tell us about your amazing chapter.
Hi, everybody. I am Ashley with Seeking Divine Serendipity. I am the author of Chapter 24, Magic in the Mundane, Seizing Every Opportunity to Grow. So I wrote this because I noticed within myself that I was really getting down on myself when I would face random challenges. And I started changing spiritual from a verb to an adjective, and really paying attention in my day-to-day life and being spiritual. And what that looked like for me was really noticing my experience, because in a world of perception is projection, everything that I'm experiencing is a direct reflection of what's going on inside. So I use my experience to notice where I still need to work through things and what I need to address. And that has helped me live a life of healing and happiness.
So you just said change spiritual from a, say that again, verb to an adjective?
Yes.
Tell me a little bit more about what that means.
I remember as a kid, there were always these commercials, verb is what you do, right? And a lot of people associate, especially newly awakened souls, associate being spiritual as things that they have to do. And instead, when you are spiritual, and it's an adjective, it's a descriptor of who you are. It's what you're doing in your day-to-day life with a spiritual mindset versus, doing some kind of innate ritual or intentionally meditating for an hour. People will beat themselves up over not setting aside specific time to do something specific that's spiritual. And instead, you can just incorporate this in your day-to-day life.
Yes, for sure. You said something that turned me on a little bit. You said spiritual mindset. Mm-hmm. So, I know there's a book's worth of information to talk about on that one little juicy topic today, but for you, what's one way you set your spiritual mindset?
So I actually talked a lot about this in my chapter, but it's, seizing every opportunity to grow. So when you're grounded and present, and actually participating in your experience, you're able to notice what's coming up and what's going on. Because in my experience, if you don't address it, the energy builds up into the point where, it's a small annoyance. And then suddenly, you're getting full body slammed by the universe.
Full body slammed. Yeah, we've all been there. Oh my gosh. Yeah. So you're just making me think of the idea that everything that is happening for us. So really the good, bad thing is a judgment. If we can look at every moment as one of those opportunities, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah. Super.
I'm getting skin chills just talking about it.
I know, it's like one of my favorite topics ever. I mean, seriously, guys, it's really hard to go last on any of these questions, right? So don't worry, I'm going to jumble it up so that you all get to answer the first one of some of these. But that's a lovely way to think about the practice. I'm going to ask all of you about your practice a little bit later. But Ashley, that's awesome because you started off easy for me to say. You started us off in such a beautiful way with that particular topic. All right, so stay tuned, you guys. We're going to hear more from Ashley in a few minutes. Jillan Brooks, are you ready to tell us about your chapter?
I am. Hello, everyone. So my chapter is chapter 16. It's called One Size Never Fits All. And the subtitle is A Journey of Self-Discovery Leads to Purpose. And it really is my story about finding myself. I was born into a family, just like in Western society, where there was one way to do things. There was one school way, one way to learn things, one way to show up in the world. It was about achieving. And I love following Ashley because it was about doing. It was about, how I performed and how I looked and to no fault of my parents, but that's how I grew up because that's really what, our masculine dominated society values. And so it was just, it's about my discovery of the hardships and challenges I encountered on that path. I never fit into it. And I had really, really, a lot of struggles and challenges. You'll have to get the book to read it. And then it's just, my slowly becoming aware over my lifetime and learning to question everything, whether that is, completely contradicts what I've been told, what I've been programmed, what someone else's belief system is. It's really about, searching and finding myself, how I operate, what I believe in, who I am at a soul level. Lots of spiritual awakening and transformation in the story. And ultimately, it led me to my purpose. I was stuck in a career that, I thought I had to do because that's just what I did. That's who my parents wanted me to be, and society told me was good and successful. And so here I am taking the skills I learned along my path to now help spiritual entrepreneurs, which is really where my heart lies. I'm a healer at heart. I've just kind of been stuck in this other world for a while. But I'm taking the skill sets that I learned and I'm helping empower spiritual entrepreneurs to grow. I mean, these are the people that I want to see successful in the world, the ones that are out there benefiting society and helping, others grow and transform and lead to spiritual awakenings. I don't want to continue to help corporations get rich anymore. So that's that's the business that I've started. And the story is really just my path on how I got there. It's a very condensed version because it's only 3,000 words, but yeah, that's what it's about.
Well, I'll say thank you to you and thank you to all four of you for taking on the challenge of getting that beautiful story into a limited amount of words. You all coach and teach and you're master healers and teachers and all kinds of helpers in the world, and you work with people every day, but it's quite another thing to get that down in black and white on the page in a story, right, in an impactful way. So thank you all for saying yes to this and taking on that challenge. Jill, you said, you talked about finding yourself, and this is a hot topic, right, in the spiritual healing world, finding ourselves. So I kind of wanted to just ask you, when that doesn't happen all at once, or sometimes it does, like it just varies for people, but in a moment of finding yourself, I'm making little quote marks out of my fingers for those who are just listening. What did you notice? How did you know? How did you say, oh, there she is? Give our listeners an idea, like a cheat sheet. How do they know that's her?
It was a long process, right? And it was really a series of just, I mean, pain led to push me to search. I mean, if I wasn't in pain, it wasn't chronic physical pain. It was mostly mental and emotional pain. And if I wasn't in the pain that I was, I mean, significant, I can list a whole long laundry list of things I was diagnosed by the medical community as far as, panic disorder and anxiety attacks and depression. And I was in such emotional and mental pain that there was really no other option but for me to try something different. I mean, and so I started going to healers and spiritual mentors, and I started meditating, and I really was searching. And it came to me in various bits and forms. It wasn't a big aha, oh my gosh, here I am. That would have been too easy for me. I need to go do it the hard way, right? And so it was a series of events over many, many years that just culminated, and I finally have found my place in the world. And I would gather little bits and pieces of, okay, this feels really good to me. This aha, I would have many ahas, but it really was a very long journey that I was trudging over a period of time until I got to a point just recently in the last couple of years where I was like, okay, this is really who I am. And I'm getting chills. I love that. That's my sign from spirit that like you're talking from truth here. I'm getting chills. This is me. This is who I am at full level. This is what I believe in. This is what I like. This is what how I want to show up in the world. This is what I want to be and do and, accomplish. And so it was tied a lot to finding my, authenticity, like peeling the layers of the programming off, questioning everything. Is this okay? Why do I believe this? Did somebody teach me this? Or do I really even believe this? I don't even believe this. This is what I grew up with, and I don't really even believe this. So yeah, it was a long process, and I'm super excited. But now I live a life that I never dreamed I would be this,
Uh-oh, we lose her. Jillan is in some shaky internet area, so we'll see if she pops back into the audio here for a minute. You can feel the passion though, right? And I know all of you
form of so many.
Oh, Jillan,
I'm back.
Yeah,
I have no idea where I left off.
I am not sure either, but I'm going to pause you there and tell everyone to stay tuned, because we're going to hear more from Jill. And what you were talking about when you cut off was the learning to question everything. You guys, I could talk about that subject all the whole freaking hour. Like, that is the beginning of a lot of people's journeys, is just, whoa, do I believe that? And if you just pause in that question itself, it could change your life. So yeah, stay tuned, Jill. We'll talk about that a little bit more. Megan, tell us about your amazing chapter.
Hi, I'm Megan. My chapter is chapter 20, You Aren't Broken, Finding the Wise Warrior. So for myself, my healing journey started with, the typical health crisis, like my late 30s into my late 20s into my 30s. And there was basically all I could do was get through the day, get through work. And my life there was nothing. It was just work and trying to heal. And I really felt broken as I healed. And it was that journey of rediscovering who I am. So like reclaiming who I am. So I resonate a lot with the first two ladies of the health crisis was something that happened to me, and it opened me up to where I am now. And it was all the journeying of, there's got to be a healer to fix me. There's something wrong with me. I am broken, and learning that, no, I'm not. I'm perfectly healed. Even when I felt broken, I was perfectly healed. But it was that journey and that process of discovery.
I love what a lot of you so far have talked about, and I want to keep it here for 1 second, Megan, with your story. And that is that there was some point along the line where you all recognized that no matter what it was, in your case, a health crisis, that was an opportunity to kind of wake up to what was possible. And you heard the mission in the beginning of the show here, right? So you all are doing that for your own journey. You're showing other people how you did that, showing them, what they can do to wake up in their own health crisis. But what would you say in terms of of having to hit rock bottom before you wake up to it?
Oh, that's a good question. It's like a deconstruction of who you are. Like the path that I was on, I mean, I was literally burning the candle at both ends with a blowtorch and burning myself out. So I had to let that part of myself go. I had to know that it was okay to take time to heal myself, and that I didn't have to keep pushing through all the pain. And so we have to hit that point in our lives where we let go of who we are so we can claim who we get to be. And so that was, I think, where I was.
Yeah, there's a lot of letting go and surrender in that. I was looking down because I was writing down what you just said, cracked me up. I was burning the candle at both ends with a blowtorch. Oh my gosh, yeah. It's best to kind of wake up before, you're on fire and done. But
I left the warning and I didn't listen.
I mean, I think that's a lot of people's story too. And a lot of what you all teach is ways to hear the whisper before it becomes a scream.
Mhm.
And getting connected with your intuition, your body, all the things. I've got a great question for all of you in a couple of minutes about that. So we'll continue to talk about that. Thank you, Megan. Nicole, tell us about your amazing chapter.
Greetings, everyone. My name is Nicole Jackson, and I wrote chapter 23, which is called Self-Love to Surrender. And the tagline is A Feminine Path to Empowerment. So my chapter really tells the story of my healing journey, some pivotal moments that happened along my way. It starts out talking about my heartbreak, how heartbreak, led me to greater self-love. As it so often does, we do often learn from our pain, or our pain gives us an opportunity to circle back around to ourselves in some way. And so for me, it took losing love to show me where I wasn't loving myself. And there was an invitation to come back home to myself, and to start the process of loving myself more deeply. It also talks about my journey, a circumstance that happened in my life, which led me on my path to becoming a healer. Prior to doing this work, I was really kind of searching for my purpose. What is it I'm here to do? I worked in retail. I was always good with people. I had a part-time restaurant job, so I was working in the restaurant industry, but I just had a knowing that there was so much more. And, there's a thing that I discuss in the chapter, how a particular book came into my life, and then that led me on the journey to becoming a healer, an energy healer. So yeah, and also it goes into how I discovered tapping into the feminine energy and healing my womb, and how that shifted my world in a really big way. So definitely have to read the book.
So yes, you all have to grab this book for sure. I love the teases, you guys. That's awesome. Nicole, you said about love being the piece of the journey like this. And you haven't given us details today, y'all are gonna have to read for the details. But what it made me think about is that journey, when you've really surrendered your heart to somebody, you have become more vulnerable than you ever have, let's say, and then you get your heart broken. Man, that's a hard journey. Like, how do you help people through a pain that feels so excruciating? What would you say to them?
Well, in my case, when I looked at the bigger picture, I saw how it had to happen. Um, well, not necessarily had to happen, but it happened in that way because I needed it to happen in that way. It was like I needed that jolt. It's like, okay, you've attracted this situation where you did put your love into this person, maybe more love into this person than you were putting into yourself. And, so there was that opportunity. But when I work with my clients, I get them to understand that everything happens for a reason. There are no mistakes in the universe. And even though we may interpret that situation as a mistake, how could I trust that person? How could I have, been so blind and so deceived? It really is that, in the grander scheme of things, that situation is always going to return you back to a place of healing and self-love. So if we can just understand that even the painful experiences are helping us to evolve into being a better person, a more loving person, a more compassionate person, then we can, show ourselves some grace and perhaps those people too. Mhm.
Yes, for sure. Seems like that's an interesting theme today with all of you. It's probably one of the most profound themes and things that we could share with people to not to judge the events of your life as a good or bad, but stop, pause, take a breath in the moment of the pain and understand that that could be your biggest ever opportunity for a life-changing moment. I love to have that mindset. Speaking of
Yes.
mindsets,
Mhm.
yeah, it's exciting. It gets exciting to me. Nicole, so I'm going to stick with you now for this next question, and I'm going to come around to all of you for this one. Okay. Um, what does sister armor mean to you?
Mm, I love this question because just hearing the title of the book, when Tiffany asked me about it, I knew that I was supposed to be a part of this project. And for me, Sister Armor is really about women coming together, healing in community. There's this collaboration, this energy of together we're stronger, we're more powerful together. And I think so often women have been led to believe that the other woman is the enemy or the competition, but really it's really about us being able to see another woman, see ourselves within another woman. And that's how really the last, I would say 10 years of my life, I've had an amazing community of women around me. Before that, I was like, I don't really need women friends. I had a lot of male friends, and I had some instances in my childhood where I was really open and, my heart was broken by my friends, my girlfriends, and I didn't understand because, I was just being a good friend, but I didn't understand that sometimes people can be, sometimes it's not even that they are conscious of it, but they can be intimidated maybe by your light or something that you possess that they have not opened or activated within themselves. And I came into experiences where I had some friendships that didn't go very well. And so I started to shut that part of myself down. But through my own healing and self-love journey, I was able to see that, it is important for me to be surrounded by women and to have women like powerful women in my life. And that has inspired me. When I went to study in Thailand, I was around 23 women from all over the world. And we were there learning the sacred femininity. We were there for a course that we were taking, and we were really diving into the power of the feminine. And I've never felt so loved and so held, being there with these women in a community. And it really shifted me in a big way. So Sister Armor to me is about women recognizing that, we are one and together we're more powerful and together we can change the world. We are changing the world.
Yes.
So yes. Mhm.
We are for sure. Oh my gosh. Yes, Nicole, definitely. You guys, community to me has been the difference between success and failure as a person in my business. I mean, you name it. It's it's a big deal. And that's exactly what I think of. You know, you went into talking about community immediately when I asked you that question, which I love because that is what the question was. It was about community. Ashley, how about you? What's your version of this? What does sister armor mean to you?
So I'm going to sound like a nerd for a moment, so bear with me. But you know, in chemistry, we talk about like the different bonds that different elements make, right? So to me, sister armor is about forming those really strong bonds that take these individual elements and create something new and beautiful and stronger than it was in its natural form, right? I mean, I can't really say it in other words because Nicole put it so well, but like that's what I was thinking as she was talking and I'm listening to her. It's about those bonds, right? Because when you're embarking on a spiritual journey, it can feel really alone. You're taking a lot of time to go within, but really whenever you stop and share those experiences with other people, there is this very strong bond that is built, and you know, you're able to help others in ways that you don't even recognize just by simply sharing your story and your experience, because whether they admit it or not, you know, they face something similar, and it helps give them the strength based off of your own experience.
Yeah, I love the way you said that about the bonds. And I'm definitely not a chemistry geek or anything, but I really got that. But the thing I liked the most about it was they come together for something stronger, bigger.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Chills.
Yeah, I know
All the chills today.
we're gonna goosebump each other out of the Zoom room today, aren't we? All that energy. We need to hold on to Jill, make sure her internet stays though. So Jill, you are next up on this question. What does sister armor mean to you?
Oh, I couldn't put it any better. And if I was back in a prior version of Jill, I would feel super threatened by having to follow these two ladies and their response. But I just agree. I mean, it took me a long time to find my tribe. And, you know, we attract like attracts like. I personally was not in a place where I was able to be there for other women. Like, just like Nicole was saying, I was conditioned to be a very competitive person with, you know, it was you against the world. It was me against the world. And so there was a lot of work I had to do before I was ready to find. And then suddenly all these communities found me. I mean, it was a really magical experience. And I've got several different little pockets of spiritual communities that I'm a part of now that are my tribe. I mean, just like these two women said, you know, they held me. I talk in my story about finding my medicine in my mess. I mean, they held me up and lifted me up while I was in the depths of my mess to find my medicine, right? And I couldn't have done that without these communities. And that's the beauty is, you know, sometimes they're holding me up, sometimes I'm holding them up, right? It's this very reciprocal give and take feminine energy flow, and my hands are doing an infinity symbol without me even realizing it, you know, but that's kind of this give and take that we have in these spiritual communities. And it's just, it's one of just the most fulfilling, rewarding experiences I've ever been a part of. And so, and this container is just the same, you know, reading these stories of these women, these brave women who are trudging forth on this very difficult, sometimes spiritual awakening path is just, they're who I want to be with, you know, they're my tribe. So
Nicely said, Jill. Thank you so much. I know I feel so lucky every day I get to play in the playground with people who are walking that walk of awareness. And I'm going to ask all of you a little bit more about awareness in a few minutes, but let's let Megan answer this question. So Megan, I know it's really hard to go last on this one, but what does it mean to you in addition to what you heard all the ladies talk about sister armor? What else?
So to me, the armor is what we put on to block ourselves. It's what we use to protect ourselves. And I think even like the cover of our book is about taking off that armor and allowing ourselves to be vulnerable, which these stories are our vulnerability and sharing that. And that's where we come together in that community of, I don't have to armor myself anymore. I don't have to shield myself from everything coming at me. I actually get to take it off, be heart open, and connect, truly connect with people over what we've overcome. So not the trauma bonding, but the overcoming and the rising together as sisters. So that's what it means to me.
I love that. Yes, of course, because our vulnerability is our strength.
Mhm.
And then when we come together in it, watch out, right?
Yes.
Awesome. All right. So I'm going to go to Jill for the next one to start off this next question. We like to talk about, or at least I do, like to talk about feeling is healing. And feeling is an awareness practice, right? I promised you guys we'd talk a little bit more about awareness. It's a big deal to me. It's everything, I think, and the difference between living a really amazing life or not. So helping people to feel is part of this whole thing for me. So Jill, I want you to share what's a part of your awareness practice. What does it look like in the day-to-day? And I know you all have like 100 things in your toolkit. So I'm just asking for one example of how it looks for today.
So it's ironic you start off with me because I was emotionally repressed for many, 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 many years. And I feel like that really contributed to a lot of my hardships. And learning to feel my feelings and embrace them and hold them up and really, really express them is an ongoing process for me. In my story, I talk about my triple yes. And so it's the way that I have become my own inner authority, right? Instead of looking constantly to others for approval or guidance or them to tell me what to do, because I lived a lot of my life that way. And so my triple yes is going inside. It's meditative, but it doesn't even, meditation can be walking in nature. It can take so many forms, but it's listening to the little subtle whispers that I think Ashley brought up at the beginning. So there's this inner awareness piece turning inward and listening. And then there's body messages. This is the part 2 of my triple yes is body messages. I mean, what sensations am I feeling in my bodies? What are my emotions? How are they coming up? Being aware of them, nurturing them, letting them flow through my body. Emotions are just energy in motion. And then the third part is outer awareness, is asking for signs from the universe and being aware of those signs, slowing down, not being so, on scrolling social media and I'm tuning out everything, really being present in my environment. I get so many messages from the physical world in the form of spirit animals. And, I'll be thinking of something and then I'll get a confirmation from somebody that has a shirt that has the same phrase. I'm thinking, random, just crazy, what I used to think was crazy synchronicity. And so those are kind of the 3 ways, I call it my triple yes, that I have learned to be my own inner authority, my own sovereign being, and really live the life. If I follow those, then I'm living in alignment with my soul.
I love it. The triple yes. I'm a fan. I'm a fan of all of those 3 things. That's awesome, Jill. Thank you. Megan, you're next on this one. What's your awareness practice look like in the day-to-day? Give us one example.
Yeah. It's definitely been a transition. In the past, I always looked at my awareness as judgment. And so I would make myself bad and wrong, and then kind of put myself in places where it's like, I knew. Why didn't I listen to myself? I knew. So one of the things that I have started to do is I like to initiate my breath through my heart. So like really closing my eyes and getting really in touch with my heart and feeling those slow breaths and literally feeling like instead of my lungs breathing, it's my heart. And it really gets me centered. So I'm a generator with the sacral authority. So, from there, like once I'm centered, then like, what is my body? Is my body like, yes? Or is it, do I go back and no? And so really learning to listen to my own inner authority, and that being the driving thing, and trying to remember that, awareness isn't always judgment, and to listen to myself.
Yeah, brilliant. You're talking about being a generator with the sacral authority. She's talking about human design right now. We published an entire book on this subject. So if you're ready to go down the rabbit hole in that one, get ready. All right.
I'll need to get that from you.
But I like how you brought that into this, because I so resonate with, the lean into the yes, or is it, like you literally showed us with your body how that feels. And I want to give listeners ideas of how that shows up for them inside. That's why we need all of your voices in these books. That's why we need all of your explanations for the one question, because somebody's going to be able to hear it in the way you said it very uniquely, all of you. So thank you for that. I think that's why it's so important for all of us to come together on these topics, because it may have taken 4 people before I heard it the way I needed to hear it today,
Well, and we're also all designed differently. Like, I'm a huge human design fan. So when you asked me, my body messages are about emotions, because I have emotional authority. I don't have sacral authority, right? And so learning, how am I designed to show up and operate in the world? I mean, my gosh, if I can learn that, I have like a blueprint, right? I have the keys to the kingdom. So I love that. And then it went to Megan, and she's got a completely different inner authority. So
yes. And that hopefully will spark some hope in people, which is another one of my missions. You may have heard you may have been to 15 doctors or coaches or this or that. There is always going to be a way for you to have some hope in terms of something helping moving forward. Okay, Nicole, what would you add to this in terms of your own personal awareness practice?
So for me, my practice has definitely evolved, just depending on where I am in my energy and my consciousness. But lately, what's been really powerful for me is tapping into my heart and my womb and connecting these energies through my breath. So just really being aware that the heart is so much more powerful than, the mind and the brain, and we can tap into that energy, which is, it's wisdom. And I feel, just being in that place generates more love within us, and love is a powerful healer. And then what I've learned to do with some of the practices that I've learned is reconnect the energies between the heart and the womb, because the womb also has her own intelligence. And when these two can be in sync and in alignment, it's really, really powerful. So tapping into the power of the heart, tapping into the power of the womb through breath, and just seeing these energies intertwined and connecting and in harmony and in flow. And it just helps you move through the world in, a much more powerful way, which I've discovered. So yeah, that's what I would offer.
Yeah, what you're talking about feels like it immediately, even the idea of it grounds and centers you, which is part of my awareness practice. If I was going to add 2 cents to this question, it would just be like, come on down out of your head, Laura, like, let's get back down into your body. And I love the visual you just gave me of the heart and womb connection, because that pulls me literally down into my powerhouse core place. Yeah, powerful stuff. Absolutely. Oh my goodness. Yes, you guys are making me excited. Okay, Ashley, you are next up on this. What's part of your daily practice of awareness?
So it's a bit of a 2-part. One of the things I need to explain first is I'm very intentional. And when I say intentional, I don't mean goal-oriented. I mean, I'm moving my body with an intention in mind, because a lot of us, it's an energy conservation tool that our body has, where we kind of just move through our life on autopilot. Like, how many times do you find yourself walking into the kitchen and then suddenly you're like, why am I here? So just making sure that I'm intentional when I'm moving my body. I know what I'm doing with it. And then using my emotions as an inner compass, right? And I talk a lot about this within the magic and the mundane is, everything happens for a reason. So when you hit those snags, stop and look, what is this emotion pointing towards, that frustration? Why is it there? What direction do I need to move into? Where am I not being true to myself? And that has helped me so tremendously because, I've talked about this before, but I used to get full body slam daily. Acts of nature, it was crazy. And being able to apply this in my life has helped so much. Like, things are easy. It gets to be easy.
It does. You're right about that. Thank you, Ashley. All right, ladies. Megan, you're going to start us off with this last question today. I'm going to come around to all of you, and I really want you to think about our listeners and viewers today with this. Last couple of years have been challenging, very challenging time in our lives and history. And I know we have people listening and nodding their head and wanting so badly to feel that hope and feel a spark. So what piece of advice would you give someone who might be stepping on this healing path, maybe even for the first time, to just give them an easy entry point, a simple stepping stone?
I think one of the biggest things is to find community, to find people to, because I know from my own experience, because when I started my process, there weren't the spiritual communities. So it felt like I was going through everything alone. And now, like, we have communities and communities of men and women who are stepping up and opening up. So, find people and start sharing your story, share what you're going through so you don't feel alone. Because what you'll find is sometimes it's collective energy that you're processing through and not your own. And so once you realize that, everybody else is going through this, like, that's, kind of tapping into the awareness a lot of times. Like, if I'm feeling something, as soon as I share it with others, it's like all these other people, I'm feeling that too. I'm having that same experience. And then we're not alone. And then we really start to come together even more, and we come together stronger. And that's where we rise. And when we rise, we change the energy and the frequency. And so that's how we can change what's happening in the world, by rising together to that highest level possible.
Yes. Okay, to summarize, listeners, find your people, find your community, find your circle. Yeah, Megan, thank you. Nicole, how about you? What would you say?
I would just say that, so oftentimes we're looking externally for the answers, but really everything we really need to know is inside of us. And I know that sounds so cliche, but it really is true. And for me, it was the process of starting to love myself that kind of opened up the door. And through that self-love, I was able to, my consciousness expanded, and it was like I was able to hear the voice of myself, my higher self, the voice of spirit more clearly. So just knowing that inside of you is a whole universe, and you get to tap into it and really explore it. And within yourself, you're going to find the answers that you're looking for, including the love that you're looking for. It's also in here. It starts within. Everything starts within.
Agreed, including the message that will help you find the circle and community you're looking for.
Absolutely.
Right.
Yes,
Like,
absolutely.
So yeah, people just quiet down. I hate to use the M word because people are like, ooh, meditation. I don't know if I can do that, but it is that. It's just getting still and allowing what happens in your mind. It's a crazy process sometimes that makes you feel like you're out of control of it. But I think Ashley said earlier, this gets easier, this gets better. You have to consider it as a practice. And with every practice, that's why we practice, to get better and better. Thank you, Nicole.
Absolutely.
Awesome. Ashley, what would you offer as one of those simple stepping stones on this journey?
I would have to say, don't be afraid to live your truth and open up to those around you. A lot of us, Megan speaks about reaching out to spiritual communities, but we have communities in our day-to-day lives that we can reach into. And, I've never met anybody that shunned me. As long as I pause and listen to what they're saying and meet them where they're at. We have such amazing communities around us, and oftentimes spiritual is almost taboo, right? So, when you're open and you're speaking your truth, you'll find that there are people already around you that need you and need your truth and need your courage to step forward and be true to who you are. And you'll build stronger connections than you already have. So you don't have to go, join a bunch of Facebook groups or anything like that, or, jump on a giant meditation retreat. There are communities already around you, and connections already around you. You can build your own. Just live your truth.
I love it, Ashley. Thank you. Jill, you're going to close us out today. What do you want to add to this?
I think I would probably just add, go back to the question everything, right? That was the starting point for me. And also to just realize that the world is infinitely abundant. Like, we live on this incredible planet with so much spiritual assistance, so many human physical body assistance. Like, I was very, very in a box, and I couldn't see past the box. But once I started opening the box to realize that I can heal anything, I can shift anything, I can change careers, my whole life is in my control, and I'm not trapped in anything. And I think just taking a step back and realizing, like, we get so immersed in our situation and feeling trapped, like we're never going to get out of it. But really, if we can just shift perspective and have that hope, there is so much out there waiting for us to explore. And there's always hope.
Fantastic, Jill. Thank you. Ladies, to all of you authors, thank you so much for what you do in the world and for being here today to share it with everyone. So
thank you for having us.
Yes, my pleasure. Listeners, remember, we have a live stream book launch party coming up on June 20th, and that's going to be at 10 a.m. Eastern. I'm going to gather with all of the Sister Armor authors, and we're going to invite you to the live stream on the Brave Healer Productions Facebook page. I've got that hooked up down below. If one of these beautiful authors said something today to you that just gave you the goosebumps or sparked something in you, and you're interested, go on down, scroll just a little further into the show notes, because I have them hooked up with all of their websites, and they are very generously there for you, for support and to answer questions. Go explore. They are up to a lot of awesomeness in the world. And if you're listening to this after that date of June 20th, well, that means Sister Armor Healing in Community is ready, and it's on Facebook, and you can hop on over and grab your copy. Maybe you guys listening you're a wellness practitioner. If you're ready to share your brave words in one of our upcoming best-selling books, please find us at bravehealer.com. And lastly, today, everyone remember, your words change the world when you're brave enough to share them. So it's time to be brave. See you next time, everyone. Bye, ladies.
Bye.
Thank you.
Bye.